Irene, how are you? Jeanette, Tatiana, Ian, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Luis, Ivan, playing full out today. I see you. Brianna, it's my daughter's name. Good to see you, Brianna. John, Priscilla, Brandon, good luck. What's up, everybody? Hey, guys. Let me just ask you, are you ready for day two? Are you guys ready for day two? Did last night, who felt excited yesterday? Who felt like you explored something new? Who felt like you had a different way of perceiving this industry, this shift in the world, doing something online, sharing what you knew? Who felt like you had a shift yesterday? Who felt it, right? Who, right now, before we even get to the tactical and the strategic, who felt and who feels right now that you'd love to launch or scale or go to the next level in this incredible industry? Right? And we haven't even got, yesterday was really designed, I hope you see that. Yesterday was designed to let you know about this industry, to pull back the curtain and also break some of those beliefs, some of those things that have held you back in the past, some of those things that have allowed the train to go down the tracks and you're running after it after it's gone, or like we said, the wave going by and you missed it, you're trying to paddle and catch up as a surfer. Here's the thing, I believe this with all of me, that in 2 to 3 years from now, being a part of the knowledge industry, being a part of the self-education industry, the information industry, whatever you want to call it, the upskill industry, is going to be just as common as any other career, any other thing. Like, you are at the forefront of a massive shift in the world. Did you know, you could Google it, I've seen them all over. Did you know that 75%, I saw one study that said 80% of kids right now, do you know if you ask them what they want to do, they want to be in this business. They want to be in this industry. They want to impact other people. They want to do videos. They want to create courses. They want to be online. They want to be a part of the creative community, the sharing economy. This is where the world is heading, and it's why we decided to do it right now in history, and why we don't want you left behind. If you're ready to impact others, if you're ready to create success for you and your family, if you're ready to own your future, then this is the time to take the uncomfortable action, gain the capabilities, and push forward. You see, all of our success, all of it lives on the other side of the thing that's a little bit uncomfortable. In fact, some could be a lot uncomfortable, but don't we know, Ian, I see you shaking your head, don't you know when you go through it, the other side is like, oh my God, it's magical over here. Why didn't I come here sooner? It wasn't as scary. Right? And today, I'm so excited that today we get the opportunity, or you get the opportunity, to learn what I call the secret of the dot. Yeah, that sounds pretty fancy. You could tell my vast vocabulary. I go really deep on naming things, right? Don't laugh at me, Luis. I see ya. You too, Kate. Come on. But today, you're going to learn the power of the dot. And that's going to show you something in a way I don't think you've ever looked at it. And I want to just share this. Yesterday, if you remember, I talked about if you had a week to prepare, to share with your 20-year-old self. And I said, pick a category. It could be health. It could be your career and income. It could be your relationships, right? If you had a week to prepare, do you remember what you wrote when I said, how much is that worth? Right? Everybody. Tens of thousands of comments, maybe hundreds of thousands of comments were priceless, or millions, or priceless, or millions. It was just going nonstop. I want you to keep that in your heart all day today as we get a little more strategic, as we get a little more tactical, as we dive deeper, because listen, when we get closer to our breakthrough, do we go, oh, that's so easy, let's just do it? Or when we get closer to a breakthrough, whatever you believe it is, the enemy, the inner villain, self-doubt, doesn't it always push you back right before you go? Like, I almost started that business. I almost did that thing. I was about to invest in this thing. But then, because at that last minute, that's that time when you go, I'm going to go back to who I was. And if you wanted to go back to who you were, you wouldn't be here today. And it doesn't mean your life is a train wreck. It just means you're either moving away from something that's not so comfortable in your life, or not so fulfilling, or life's okay, but you know you're destined for more. So today, what I want to pre-frame in advance is, if there's anything we're sharing and you feel a little bit uncomfortable, congratulations. That I'm going to encourage you to lean into it. Ask questions, post, share. Don't fade back. Lean in, because this is our time. This is the most magical time in history. So, Jeremy, if you could help me with the whiteboard, I want to pull that over. But I want to go through a process that I think is going to fundamentally shift the way you look at things. Because one of the biggest myths, and I say myth, and that could seem like I'm not taking into consideration what you feel. But I know, because I've been doing this for 25 years. Tony's been doing it for 40 plus years. We've been helping people do this for 3 years now, obsessively. It's been our mission. And we've got to help people in 150 plus countries in 4,600 different categories. And it's been amazing. But I know when you first start, or even if you're in it, remember, guys, this is really important. I said this yesterday, and I had a raise of hands, and it was like a third, a third, a third. A third of you showed up yesterday not having any clue what we were going to talk about. You're like, someone recommended, or I came just to see Jenna or Shalene Johnson is going to be here, or maybe for Dean, or maybe for Tony, and I just trust it, what's going to be here. You came as investigators, which, thank you for having faith in us. And I watched your faces change. I watched the comments of seeing, like, being exposed to where the puck is going, right? We talked about Wayne Gretzky's quote of, he was so good at hockey because he didn't skate to where the puck was. He skated to where it's going. So I think everybody knew, just stopping by, got to see where the puck is going when it comes to industries and where wealth is shifting and where people's focus is shifting, and an industry that's exponentially growing. Some of you have been dabbling in this industry. Some of you are kind of in it. Some of you have tried and failed. And I think you got to see yesterday, maybe you were following the wrong system, following the wrong people, following the wrong process, or maybe even worse, you were trying to do it on your own. The fastest way to get where you want to do is, like I shared yesterday, is the bridge, right? We're bridge builders, right? You went through a process in your life on the other side. Tony and I have went through this. We're on the other side. We're showing you the bridge. And then last, the other third are in this business, already being successful. Well, you should be here as well so you can learn what the cutting edge is, what's changed. You can model what Tony and I are doing. So there's very few things in life that allow the beginner, someone who didn't even know they were beginning, someone who's dabbling, and someone who's an expert to all gain the capabilities to launch or scale. And that's why we're here. And this exercise I'm going through right now, whether you're whatever one of those three you are, I really want you to hear this through your lens, right? Just figuring out this and say, heck, I think I want to do this, or in it and scaling. So I call it the power of the dot because I like to take away big words and complexity. So I got to tell you a little story, or remind you of a story yesterday. Yesterday, I shared when I first started about Motor Millions. I know it's kind of, I was going to bring I found the books from 1998. It's funny, I still have them. Maybe I'll bring them tomorrow. So 1998, I'm scared to death. I spend all this money. I film an infomercial. And you remember the story. I get done with the infomercial, done with the product, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm not big. I don't have a vast vocabulary. I've never done this. I'm using borrowed credit card money to get out there. Cheryl, I see you laughing at me. You've probably been here, right? And then all of a sudden, my amazing sister drives 8 hours to sit me down to tell me what a fool I am, and that I'm going to lose everything. She did it with love, and I mean that. I love my sister. She was trying to protect me. And then I go to my friends and say, what do you guys think? And they're different than my sister. They're just like, you're an idiot. You have a collision shop. You have apartments. Are you stupid? You're going to lose everything. It felt amazing, I have to tell you. But do you remember, who remembers the epiphany I had? I was literally walking down the street by my grandmother's house, the house I grew up in most of my childhood. And I was taking a walk, and I'm thinking about, I have to serve all these people, and I have to impress people that own car dealerships, and I have to impress people that have a lot of money. And oh my God, they're going to hear my vocabulary. They're going to hear my silly New York accent. I look like I'm 12. I sound like I'm Mickey Mouse some days when I get excited. All of those things felt like the biggest imposter in the world. But what shifted it? What I realized, this is the power of the dot, and I'm really going to hammer this home for you guys, is the smaller of the thing you're going to teach, as we make it smaller, our confidence grows. So if you remember, in my head while I first got all freaked out, you know what I was thinking? oh, I got to teach 7 billion people around the world. How do I do? It's like it was so big. But as I was walking and as I was thinking, I realized I wasn't teaching 7 billion people. I was teaching people that would like to make some extra money. But I wasn't just teaching everybody that wanted to make some extra money. Maybe I was teaching people who want to make extra money with cars. That got smaller. It's like, yeah, but I wasn't teaching people that wanted to make money or make money with cars. I wasn't teaching people who had new car dealerships or wanted to have multiple car dealerships. I wasn't teaching how to create standing operating procedures or key performance indicators, KPIs and SOPs. I wasn't teaching how to run an Excel spreadsheet. I wasn't teaching human resources. Surely that's not me. I wasn't teaching how to do all the technical stuff behind the scene. I wasn't teaching how to do the accounting for cars. I was teaching people who wanted to maybe flip an extra car a month and make some extra money. It got even smaller. And then I should even get smaller. I said I wasn't teaching people that were in the industry or wanted to make more than a couple grand a month. I was just teaching regular people who wanted to learn a process to flip an extra car a month. And I realized it got down to the dot. And when I got down to the dot, I realized, oh, I could teach that group. No problem. They won't make fun of me that I don't have a vast vocabulary. They don't care that I've never started a new car dealership. They're not going to ask me for a KPI or an SOP or an Excel spreadsheet. They're not going to ask me for any of that. They're going to see, this is the classified ad I run to find deals. This is the classified ad I run to sell deals. And this is how I negotiate and match them up. And this is how I get paid in the middle. That dot of people absolutely loved what I did. So when I evolved into teaching real estate, my next course was called Think a Little Different. Now, I'm only going to use my examples. Then I want to give you some real examples here. When I went to real estate, I went through the same process again. I wasn't a 100 millionaire. I didn't have hundreds of millions and 500 apartments and all that. And I started creating my course and I said, I want to teach people how to get into their first real estate deal. And when I started really narrowing it down, I said, I'm not just teaching real estate. That felt like 7 billion people. And I wasn't teaching people how to get lots of apartments and own 500 doors and own an apartment complex. And I wasn't teaching people how to build new homes. That's a really great industry for people who do it and have construction and a whole bunch of employees and all that kind of thing. I wasn't teaching people, I wasn't going to teach people who already had a bunch of real estate and wanted to do more. What I found in the little dot of what Think a Little Different was, my first teaching people how to make money with real estate program, is I showed people how to get into their first real estate deal. And do you know when I did my first course, I had already done like 5,000, no, I didn't. I did 42 real estate deals, 42. When I actually, no, my first one, that was my second one. I had done like 35 real estate deals total when I did my first course that went nationwide and became one of the biggest real estate courses of all time. And guess what I told people? I told people I did 5,000. No, I didn't. I told them I've only done 32 real estate deals. I'm not a gazillion millionaire. But what I did figure out, because I didn't have money and didn't have experience, I figured out how to get in deals with little to no money down because I was desperate. I had no other choice. If you'd like to learn how to get in your deals the same way I did, I created a course. So I wasn't talking to any of these. I was just talking to that little dot. But that little dot is potentially thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. Now, yesterday, I'm going to go through a few more of these examples, and I'm really going to anchor this in for you. If you remember yesterday, I talked about 3 different people who were in this industry. Nancy was the first one. Nancy is a Chinese immigrant who came to this country, and everybody told her, just get a service job at minimum wage. You're lucky to have it. Good thing to be in America. She didn't settle for that. She was smart. Just because she didn't know the language or the culture doesn't mean that she should take a crappy job. And I don't mean crappy, but she knew she deserved more. She worked hard, created a process, got an amazing job as a project manager, and then realized, hey, I can help other Chinese immigrants who come to our country and not have to settle. I can help them by teaching through self-education what I did. Now, talk about how scary that is. When she first started, she was scared to death thinking, I got to teach all these people. No, I actually just have to teach people that are immigrants to America, but I'm actually Chinese. So it's actually Chinese immigrants to America. And I want to teach those that are hustlers and want to do better, and I want to teach those that are Chinese immigrants in America that are hustlers that want to get a better job as a project manager. And guess what it was? It was this little tiny dot. How much more niche could you be than that? She is absolutely doing amazing, and she's thriving because, as you're going to learn tomorrow and the next day on how to elegantly share what's in your head with confidence, when she's talking to that dot of people, is there anybody more qualified on the planet to talk to those people than her? She went through the process. She migrated here. She doesn't speak the language. She got offered a crappy job. She went through the process. If you were a Chinese immigrant and wanted a better job, would you go to anyone in the world other than Nancy? Right? Put in the chat, who would go to Nancy? Right? It's quite a big dot. You're right. Okay, I want to give you another example here. Cyrene, she's here today. We had a great conversation with her. She's in one of our programs, and we were in a chat, we were in a training just like this, in this room, in Zoom, and when she shared what she did, I could feel the apprehension at first, like almost making an excuse. And when we narrowed down her dot, and again, I know she's here, I watched her smile, I watched her confidence, and I know she's going to impact so many women's lives, right? When she went through this, Cyrene, when she first started, she decided she wanted to help women get through menopause in a better way. Us men, we have no idea what that means, so let's not even pretend. Right? But what she said was night sweats, gained weight, and then the worst part is the emotion she had. She said she didn't feel like she used to. She didn't think her husband looked at her in the same way. Like inside was going through turmoil. But what did she do? She obsessed on it. She read the right books, interviewed the right people, did everything in her power, basically a reporter of other people's knowledge. She found and put that all together, tested, tweaked. She got rid of the night sweats. She found a way to get the weight to where she was her ideal weight, where she felt amazing in her own skin. She got her thoughts back on track and felt better than she's ever. When you talked to her, you watched her light up like $1 million, right? Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing I want to share with you guys is if Cyrene would think of serving 7 billion people, she would never do this. And if you think going through a mess, like I'm sure menopause can be a mess. We talked about yesterday going through the valley. She went through the valley, came out on the other side with a better path. Right? So if she thought of sharing with 7 billion people, that's intimidating. And it's like, who wants to talk about going through menopause with 7 billion people? She's not talking to everybody. She's just talking to women. And she's not talking to women that are probably under 40 or over 50. I think it's 40 to 50 something. She's not talking to most women. She's just talking to a little demographic of women. And she's not just talking to a little demographic of women. She's talking to a little demographic of women going through menopause that want to do it in a natural way. That excludes most of the world. But how many are left? Millions. She has millions of clients in this dot that need her, that she's actually doing, and this is the part I really want you to take away, and I want you to put this in the chat right now. You're going to learn a lot of this in the next couple of days. But if you don't share what you discovered, you're actually doing a disservice to women. I mean, if Cyrene didn't share this, she's actually doing a disservice to women who are struggling, who are suffering in silence, going through menopause, and their thoughts are crazy. They think their husband's going to leave them, or they don't feel sexy anymore. I can't even pretend to know. I don't even want to use a share like I know. I have no freaking clue. But Cyrene does, and you do if you're going through it. And if you're not sharing something you've experienced and someone else is suffering in silence, you have to realize you are ethically obligated. And when you feel that way, it shifts everything about this industry. We get to be the fast track, the problem solver, the solution, the quicker way to the end result from people because we went through it. I want to share a little bit here. We'll come back. I might as well just stay right here. Pull up the screen here. Look at, and these are all people, if you pull up the screen here, Mike, these are all people that are on a platform that Tony and I created. All of them making sales, All of them, everyday people doing cool stuff. How to avoid the 5 top tax traps when starting a new business. Could you think that could be a thing? It is, and it's selling, right? Look at this one. Excuse me. Brain Zoo. Explore, enhance, and empower your thinking, learning, and creativity. NLP. It's not something I bought, but people are buying it because they want to learn those pieces. Regular, everyday people taking. Look at this one. Treat your dog's hips. Complete hands-off guide. Hands-on guide. Think about that. Treat your dog's hips. Would you think in a million years, but who wants to go to a vet? Who wants to learn it on their own when they have the opportunity to go online and go, I have a dog with some issues on the hips. Anybody else go through that would share? Now, it's not 7 billion people, right? It's not people in general. It's not just people with dogs. It's not just people with any dog. It's people with dogs, probably German Shepherds. I remember having one, always had hips issues, that want to do it at home naturally. It's a tiny little dot. Who would do that? They're selling courses online. That dot, I bet you there's millions of dogs with hip issues right now, and this amazing person is helping solve that, right? Look at this one. Travel sketching in Puerto Vallarta. Travel and sketch. I mean, think about that. You're like, who would buy that? It's selling on our platform right now. How crazy and cool this world, because we're evolving into such a cool place. And, excuse me, and when you get to a page like this, do you say, oh, wait, I don't see his doctorate degree. I don't see his initials where he went to school. No. What you're looking is at somebody that's been through the experience and is now sharing it. I thought this one was cool. Orchids and crystals. Doesn't even have a subject line. It's just orchids and crystals, and it's selling. So I want you can pull that down. Excuse me one second. I need some water. So I want you to think through that lens of what in your head right now. I would love in the chat right now. I get to see all the different chats here. Put in here what you think your dot is right now. We're not there yet. We're still narrowing this down. But what do you think your dot is? And don't call it anything but a dot. You could call it your superpower, your niche. But really, it's just your dot. And again, the smaller you get, the more empowered you will feel to share it. The gentleman or the lady who is teaching people how to help cure your animal's hips, could you imagine if they said, okay, we're going to put a whole bunch of veterinarians in front of you so you can teach you. Be like, no, I don't want veterinarians. Or what about, hey, how about cleaning dogs' teeth at home? That's not what her dot is or his dot is. It's one thing, and you put yourself in front of people with a dog with a hip issue, you're the expert. Now, here's the cool part. As we evolve, I want to come over here in a moment. I want to give you 4 categories, okay? You're understanding the dot. We're going to go deeper on the dot. But I want to give you 4 categories on how, through what lens, you're going to teach, okay? So the first one, number 1, is mess to message. Now, I've been doing this for a really long time, and now we've been helping people for a long time, and it boils down to these 4 categories. Now, what is a mess to a message, right? Think about that. Actually, pull up the screen, Mike. If you could pull up this slide, I want to show you. This is on our platform. This is selling right now. So, like, this is happening. This is the 7 principles to make sure your children are thriving during divorce. Listen, this is something I paid for. I paid for help. I bought a course. I bought a coach. I went through a workshop when I went through a divorce with my children. Listen, I'm not an advocate of divorce, but it was something that happened in my life half a decade ago. And since I was a child of 9 divorces, my parents were married 9 times between them, I was petrified for my children in a way I can't even explain. I guess I could explain if you've been through it. The thought of seeing my kids half the time, the thought of not being an influence, the thought of what if I don't get along with my ex and they have to experience some of the craziness we did. It was the first time in my life I had a true panic attack over my children, and it was really tough. My previous wife and I, we knew it was time to separate. We had been kind of living in the house apart. I'm sorry, I'm getting way personal. For a long time. We're great friends, great co-parents, but we knew it was time to go. But when I thought about leaving my kids, it was so brutal. And what I did, because this is my space, I found people that had gone through it that were willing to share with me how I could make a child-centered divorce, how my kids wouldn't be fragmented, how they wouldn't have to be someone for mom and someone for dad like I always felt they had to be. And you know what took my anxiety away? People like this, people like the X Factor who would be willing to say, I went through it, I get it, but here's the 7 things I've done, right? This was a mess for them at one point. This was a mess. Now it's their message. Look at, and I don't want to go to extremes here, but this amazing woman making sales on our platform, 6 months of coaching for young widows and widowers. I can't even imagine what that's like. My heart goes out to I don't know if her name's on here, Jen, right? But I'm sure she went through the experience. A mess I can't fathom, but she knows that other people are going through that mess. And now she's taken her mess, taking it into a message and empowering people to get through this in a different way, right? And it goes on and on. Here's one, master your anxiety and stress, right? I mean, how cool is that? Another one is Born for This, Evergreen Immersion, Marketplace Edition. Giving people the ability to, you can pull that down, pull that slide down. Giving people the ability, you know, I drew this, I'm going to put this over here. Remember, I drew this yesterday, day 1, of people go through life and a mess happens and they go through the hardship of trying to figure it out. But during that journey, you are taking the mess and gaining skills and capabilities to understand how to get through it. It lives in most all of you right now. The bridge, right, Christine? It's the bridge. We're bridge builders. So what are all those examples I just shared with you? They are people that went through the valley, and now they're sharing the bridge. So let me ask you, what mess, and put it in the chat, write it down on your journal. Seriously, put this out in the world. What mess have you gone through that could be your message? How could you save someone? Let's refer back to your 20-year-old self. What mess have you gone through that if you had a week to prepare, you would explain it to your 20-year-old self and say, hey, this is what happens. We went through this, but I'm on the other side. Don't do this. Don't listen. Trust your gut. Go after your intuition. Fuel your intuition. Don't believe. I don't know what you would share. Relationship, divorce, building a family on your own, disabled. I mean, look at this coming in. Guys, I also don't want you to think I'm trying to oversimplify this. This is a real industry. This is a real business. This is an industry heading towards $1 billion a day. But I hope you see what I'm sharing are everyday people who got the courage, overcame imposter syndrome, made it real, and then got sales. And then it's addicting because you're like, oh my God, I helped someone get through that mess. They sent me money. Let's do it again. And let's do it again. Make sense? You guys feeling this? All right, the second one. If the first one is mess to message, the second one is your skill or expertise. Okay? A skill or expertise. Let's bring up these slides. This is 6-week low-carb nutrition support with Dr. Keenan, right? Here's Mark teaches people how to launch an app. Complete guide to launching a profitable app. How cool is that, right? Look at this one, 5-minute bookkeeping. Show you how to do your bookkeeping better. I don't want that course. I get freaked out over bookkeeping. But somebody does because that course is selling. Here's another one. This is a cool one. Etsy Store Bootcamp, a guide to your next 100 sales on Etsy. Regular person doing amazing, selling their stuff on Etsy. How many people in here ever thought about, I wonder if I could sell something on Etsy, right? Look, we got about 10% of the hands. Would you want to figure it out on your own? You can pull that down. Would you want to figure it out on your own? Or would you say, let me go find somebody who's already done it. Let me cut a small check. Let's pay for speed. Go through the course. Learn how to be on Etsy. So you have a skill, an expertise. You have something that you've experienced that someone's starting on day 1. Again, think of that 20-year-old self, that value. If you think about the value and then you shrink it down to the dot, I hope you're seeing all these people aren't saying how to do everything. They're how to do that one thing, how to do that little dot that lives right here. Okay, number 3. Number 3 is a passion. Now, I love this. I love thinking through the eyes of passion because let's bring them up. Again, more great courses. Brand book course, how to do a course or a book. She's passionate about writing a book. Now she's teaching other people how to do it. Songwriting mastery, 8 weeks to write a hit soul song. It's not even how to write a song. It's 8 weeks on how to write a hit soul song. Not everybody wants to do that, but obviously they do because she's selling courses on how to do that, right? This one, how to get started filming yourself, right? How to be better at golf. If that's a passion of yours, golf's not a passion of mine. I'm horrible. I golf 2 times a year with Tony. It's embarrassing, but we just go to hang out. But if you want to get better at golf, you can figure it out yourself or learn from someone who's got a passion about it, right? I'm just trying to spark something to let you see. And then the last one is being the reporter. Now, if you remember being the reporter, if you remember what Tony shared yesterday, when Tony started in this industry, he was 18, 19 years old. He didn't have life experience, but what he did, he went to 32 Jim Rohn events, and he knew everything Jim Rohn taught and shared. So what did he do? He went out for years and just taught Jim Rohn stuff and said, this is I learned from Jim Rohn. Was it less valuable coming from Tony than Jim Rohn? No, because he reported on it obsessively. Think about, anybody ever read that monster of a book, Money Master the Game? Tony's book, it is a monster. Like, if I want to be as tall as Tony, I could just step on that book, right? It's huge. Tony is amazing at finances, but he's not the finance guy. Building wealth, he's good, but he's not the master at it. What did he do? He became the reporter. He went and interviewed the top financial advisors in the world, correlated their knowledge, and wrote a book that became one of the best-selling financial books in the history of the world. Tony's not the financial guy. He reported on it, right? We have one of our top sellers on our platform. You can pull this up. Chairman of the boards. He just manages his own finances. He studied so many other people as a reporter that he's doing his job of, doing a wealth management at home. I love this one. I got to meet Del Jane. Del Jane is so amazing. And this is a really cool story because Del Jane was a business consultant. And when she started working with Tony and I, she thought, I'm going to teach other people how to be a business consultant. And then she said, you know what? I feel it, but my heart is driving me towards something that has been like a passion, something I've reported on. She had been going, as she called it, the foo-foo business, right? She called it in pursuit of the mystical. She said foo-foo, not me. But from crystals and alignments and your chakra and things that maybe aren't my unique thing. She said, but this, I've been going to courses, reading books on it for like 15 years. And my heart was telling me to go in this direction. So she did. She became the reporter of everything she learned in all those events. And her first workshop, she was so embarrassed. She tells the story of she sent a direct message out to friends and everybody she ever went to courses. And she was so embarrassed that she slammed her laptop down and ran out the door because she said, oh my God, that was the dumbest thing in the world. No one's going to buy this from me. Why would I even think that? And she said she wouldn't open her laptop up for like 6 hours. She goes, I open it, they're all going to be like, Del Jane, you're a fool. Guess what happened when she opened her laptop? She sold out her first event. It was amazing. And I'm not saying you guys are going to sell out your first event. She did unbelievable. When she told us her success, it was off the charts. Again, I'm not saying it's a magical money machine. You get rich overnight. Again, you know Tony and I, that's not what we're about. But what's possible when you understand this? And then the last piece of this that I really want to make you really lock it in is when you figure out your dot, and then you know that you got the big picture, you're either going to go and message, a skill or an expertise, a passion or a reporter. Then in today's world, we get to do cool stuff, right? You could be like, and I want to bring this up, you could be like Mindy. Bring up Mindy for a second. I got the chance to have a couple conversations. Mindy's so awesome. She was in corporate America, had enough. She felt on the inside she was a creative. Who in here has ever been in a business style world, but you know your heart's a creative? Right? She said she knew it. She quit because she wanted to be a photographer. She went to a photography class and it was so boring. So she just started walking around New York City, taking pictures on the move. She got so good at it. She started a little business of teaching other people how to do it in New York City. And then what happened? COVID happened and nobody was coming. So she converted online. At first, she told herself, I'm too old. I live in the wrong area. There's too many people online. Fortunately, she started working with Tony and I. She got the confidence, beat up that imposter. She found the dot, decided to do a course. So let's go over here as three ways. I'm sloppy on my board. But the first one is a course. She decided to create a course. You know how she did it? She filmed it on her iPhone. And she taught what she would usually teach people on how to do photography through a course. And in today's world, we have the opportunity to get that message out through the platform Tony and I created and other amazing delivery systems, right? It's not like it used to be when I had to put books in a warehouse and all that kind of stuff. The technology has made life easy. So Mindy, so amazing. She's one of the top sellers, selling course after course, teaching people how to be creative with their photography. She filmed it on her phone. It's just such an amazing story. And then second, you could do a workshop. A workshop is something that I believe is like, you could do it through Zoom, right? We're on Zoom right now. That's how you're learning. Like in the old days, a workshop might mean that someone has to jump on a plane and fly where you are. You got to be face to face. We aren't used to that anymore. We're used to this, where we have 900,000 people signed up virtually. But what if you had 10 people signed up virtually, paying you to come in 3 weeks from now on a Zoom call while you're home, teaching your message, your skill or expertise, your passion or reporter. That's where the world has evolved to. And then third, and I want you to have these three. The third is a mastermind. Now that's a word that can seem like, ooh, what is a mastermind? A mastermind is, Napoleon Hill said it. A mastermind is when two people come together, share their ideas, it creates a third mind. A mastermind is just bringing great, amazing-minded people together, and they share their beliefs, they share with their breakthroughs, they share their biggest struggles, they share their biggest goals, and everybody shares what makes all of them get better. It's the example of the tide rises all boats, right? That's what a great mastermind. I've attended masterminds for 20 years. I'll go to a marketing mastermind, and everybody there will share their best marketing strategies. And then they'll raise their hand and I'm having trouble with marketing. Everybody shares, they all get smarter. So you could label these anything. It's a weekend Zoom call. It's a 3-hour workshop on our platform. We have the opportunity to have delivery systems and why this is going to be the new norm. You see, when Tony and I started, there was so much resistance. Ruth, I see you shaking your head up and down, right? It's like when we started, there was so much resistance. We had to spend $100,000+ to do an infomercial and book TV and have people call and put product in the warehouse and then ship the product. In today's world, to not oversimplify this, but when you find the dot, when you pick one of these, and it doesn't even mean you have to stick with them. You start with one. And then you have the opportunity to follow a path, which we're going to teach this on day 4, to elegantly share in a course. Or create a workshop where you have people live with you in 3 weeks from today, learning from you. Do your first one for free. Watch how they freak out. The next one, you'll realize that you could take it to another level, or create a mastermind, or do group coaching, all the same. Build a community, all the same. You could even deliver this like so many of you. There's probably 40,000 of you watching right now where? On Facebook. You can do this all within Facebook. Everything you need to fuel you building a bridge and maximizing your results, impacting other people's lives, creating real success from home, owning your future, owning your time, going where the puck is going, getting in front of the wave. It is all lined up right now. Again, I'm not trying to overstress this, but I would hate for you to look back in 5 years and go, damn it, how come I didn't jump then? And that's why we're doing these 5 days. That's why we have amazing people coming here. That's why we're coming up in a few minutes here. We got an amazing guest that's going to light it up for you. We have 3 powerful guests today that are all just hell-bent on pulling back the curtain, showing you why you can't miss this, right? And then the last thing, the last piece I want to share is when you know what the dot is, and we're, again, day 4 is going to be something really powerful. Like, do not miss any day. They all stack on each other, right? And if you get one piece of info and you go, oh, maybe not for me, then you're missing out on how we might solve that for you on day 3 or day 4 or day 5. Make sense? Tell me if you're all in. Right now, everybody commit in the 2 chats, 3 chats. I'm all in. If I'm putting this energy out, if we're putting the time, if 14 speakers are flying in to serve you, it's all in. And who's ready to take action in this industry? Who's ready to take your dot? Find your message, skill, passion, expertise, and then delivery systems. But here's the cool part. Here's the cool part. When you understand your dot, then to find the people that want your dot, that want to learn how to make money with a car, how to cut hair better, how to get through menopause, how to get a better job because they're a Chinese immigrant. When we know our dot, we just reverse engineer it. And instead of social media using you, this is day 4 now, it'll come up, we'll show you how to do this. Instead of social media using you, you can use it to identify your ideal client, those that want your dot, those that want Mindy to teach them how to do photography, right? That's what we want in today's world, right? We want to find our dot, and then we have access to the entire world and fine-tune the exact people that need what we share, where our confidence goes up and they say thank you. This is your ideal client. And guess what? Last thing I want to say. You know how you already know your ideal client? You know why? Because in most cases, Angela, you already hit it. I see you. Your ideal client, Brianna, Anik, I see you all. Who's your ideal client? Daniela. You know who she is or he is? It's you of last year. It's you of 5 years ago. It's you of 10 years ago. Do you know how to talk to your 20-year-old self? Do you know how to talk to your 30-year-old self, your 50-year-old self? Martha, I see you. That's who your ideal client is. So when you put that frame in mind, the courage comes up. The imposter gets killed and crushed because you know how to speak to you. And when you speak to you, you eliminate 7 billion. Well, you don't eliminate 7 billion, you eliminate most of the 7 billion. And who's left standing? The exact people who need what you have to offer. Guys, this might have been a lot to take in for some of you. It might have been absolutely what you needed. And for some of you that are already in the game, isn't it amazing to break it down and see what's next? Maybe you have a mess-to-message product and you've been doing it so long, it's time to create a skill product. Or maybe you've done a skill product, it's time to create a passion product. Guys, all I can say is the stars are aligned. The economy is shifting. The access is there. People are cutting checks for speed faster than ever before in history. And I don't know anything that can allow you to serve your heart in such a big way as this can in today's crazy shifting world. And how do we change a crazy shifting world? We step up as role models and leaders. We gain capabilities from people who've already done it. We pay for the bridge. We get the bridge. And then we take the uncomfortable action to make it real. All right, you guys feeling this morning? All right. So, with that said, we have an amazing guest coming up. Now, she is a world-renowned motivational speaker for more than 30 years. She must have started at 3. That's all I know. She's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records for starring in the most fitness videos in the world. She's got one of the top podcasts in the entire world. But that's all the stuff you read off of a sheet that goes